Welcome to Everyday Elevations. I'm your host, Jason Fricka, and I'll be taking you on a journey towards holistic health, discovering the power of transformation through expert interviews, in-depth research, actionable advice, and personal growth stories. Welcome back to Everyday Elevations. We are now in episode 2. Today, we delve into the transformative power of habits and how they shape our lives. We'll be drawing inspiration from James Clear's Atomic Habits, where we'll discuss the 4 laws of habit formation and how to apply them in our everyday lives. With that, let's get started. Habits are formed through learning and repetition. Most human brains have a habit loop of 4 separate stages: trigger, craving, response, and reward. The trigger is your cue or trigger to act. Craving, this is when you're desiring a change in current state. And response is simply the action. And the reward is the end goal for any habit formed. Remember, if the habit satisfies you, that's going to be considered a positive feedback loop. And in turn, the brain's going to recognize that if it wants the same reward. And it'll know that it needs to perform the same loop again in the future. That's the importance of having the habits formed. Now, here's an example of a habit loop, since I already mentioned that. Let's use morning coffee. I'm a coffee person when I wake up. I love to have a cup of coffee. So my trigger would be waking up and feeling groggy. My craving would be that desire for something to wake me up and make me more alert. My response would be making and drinking a cup of coffee. And the reward, of course, is feeling alert, energized, and just ready to start my day. Now, you can also use gym workout habit for the example of the habit loop as well. In this case, think about it as your cue of, if you bring a gym bag, packing your gym bag and place it near the door. The craving would be wanting to feel healthier and more energetic. The response would be going to the gym and working out. So you're actually working out. And the reward is the endorphin rush post-workout and that satisfaction of making progress towards your health goals. These positive feelings are what's going to make you want to continue that habit. Now, another thing that James Clear talks about is habit stacking, which is where you pair a new habit with an existing one. This in turn makes it easier to establish that new habit. Now, in my first example, I talked about drinking morning coffee when I wake up. So let's do that and incorporate exercise with that. So your current existing habit will be drinking morning coffee. That's my first habit in the morning. The next thing I'm going to do is the new habit will be doing a short workout. From there, you have the habit stack. What that does is after you finish your morning coffee, you do a 15, 20, 30, however many minute workout you want to do. And the act of finishing the coffee naturally triggers that next habit, the new habit of exercising. Now, remember, small habits compound over time and have a huge impact on your life. Even though we don't necessarily notice the tiny changes initially, since they're not typically as impactful right away, they're not like upfront in your face, but these changes, if repeated every day, can cause huge shifts in our lives. You have to remember, this isn't a race. Change takes time and patience. And also understand you don't want to make too many changes initially in your life either. That can become overwhelming and hard for you to keep those changes and habits in play. So focus on a select few tiny changes to make your behavior. Then these changes are going to eventually lead to even larger, more extraordinary results. If you think about it, if you improve 1% every day over the course of a year, you're going to become 3,778% better. That's 37.78 times better than you were 1 year ago. That right there shows the power of compound growth and how small, consistent improvements can have a huge impact over time. Next thing we're going to talk about is how habits can change your identity. There are 3 layers of behavior change. 1, a change in your outcomes, which is what you get or what you achieve. 2, a change in your processes, which is what you do. Or a change in your identity, which is what you believe. You have to understand your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current identity. The way you behave is a mirror image of the type of person that you believe you are, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. If you want to change who you are and your behaviors, then you first need to change your identity, meaning that you have to change the things you believe about yourself. If you have a lot of negative self-talk, you have to change that. Naturally, you're going to want to start talking more positive about yourself. Think about the things that make you happy, what you're excited for. How do you fix this? Besides just positive speaking, you also want to focus on who you wish to become, not necessarily the achievements that are associated with it. By focusing on who you wish to become, you're focusing on the long term. The finish line is what one of my idols and mentors, Jesse Itzo, says. He says, always focus on the finish line. Envision the finish line. What does it look like when you get there? That's what you want to do. You don't want to focus on the little achievements along the way, although it's nice to have those. The big picture is just look at who you want to be. The next thing we're going to talk about are the 4 laws of behavior change. James Clear ties the 4 laws to each part of the habit loop. In this case, the 4 laws are make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Make it obvious is the cue. Make it attractive is the craving. Make it easy is the response. And then make it satisfying is the reward itself. Now, understand that these can be applied to form good habits or to break bad ones. You would invert the 4 laws of behavior if you want to break the bad ones. And I'll break that down a little bit here. But first, let's talk about the first law of behavior change, which is make it obvious. The more obvious you make your cues, the easier it is to respond to them. And of course, as we know, certain cues are going to trigger certain habits. If you can control your environment, you can help to encourage the better new habits you want to establish. I'm going to use working out as an example. If you want to work out more often, and this is what I do, I actually set my gym clothes out each night and each morning right on my computer desk chair. So that's where all my clothes are at anyways, in that room. And I have them laid out perfectly so that I know that as soon as I get out of bed, I'm going to have my gym clothes right there and it's going to trigger my mind. It's in a place I can't miss. I do this every morning and every evening. So it's shirt, shorts, socks. And this way it's in my mind right away. Now, I had mentioned habit stacking earlier. Now, habit stacking, you want to be as intentional as possible where you stack these habits. I try to be intentional in certain areas of it. I like to brush my teeth in the morning and visualize how my day is going to go. I plan out the day first thing in the morning. So as I'm brushing my teeth, it also forces me to brush my teeth longer. But I talk about all the positive things that are going to happen, all the things I'm going to accomplish on the day in my head while brushing my teeth. That's a habit stack. At night, I brush my teeth and plan out the next day, as well as list things I'm grateful for on the day. Again, using habit stacking and being intentional when you stack these habits is critical. In the morning when I get up, I like to brush my teeth and visualize my day going exactly how I want it to go. I plan the day out. What am I going to do first? I break it down into hourly schedules, 2 hours typically. And I want to know what I'm going to accomplish during that time frame. And I plan out all the successes. By planning out my day during that time, I feel so much better on the day, starting off my day. Now at night, I like to brush my teeth and talk about the things that I'm grateful for. For me, that lets me go to bed a little bit more relaxed and realize how great of a day I had and how good my life is. My life isn't perfect, but I love to look at the positive things in life so I can see where I'm headed with it. And that's really what habit stacking does. It's a perfect example of how I use my habit stacking. Next thing we're going to talk about is the second law, which is make it attractive. Humans are motivated by the anticipation of reward. So making habits attractive are going to help you stick to them. Our brain releases a dopamine, which is basically a hormone that makes us feel good when we do activities that we enjoy. However, What people don't realize is that dopamine is also released when we anticipate these activities that we enjoy, not only when we actually do them. Think about it. When you're planning a vacation, how excited do you get? You have fun with it, right? You think about all the little things you're going to do. You're thinking about the little adventures you're going on. Maybe you're going to the beach. Maybe you're going to go snorkeling when you're out in the ocean. Who knows? But either way, you're going to be super pumped and excited for that. And that's going to naturally release dopamine. Another part of the second law is a strategy that James Clear calls temptation bundling. Temptation bundling is when you take a behavior that you want to adopt that's unappealing and link it to a behavior that you enjoy. So it's one that's going to cause your brain to release that dopamine, that good feeling. Let's use the example of learning and leisure. So let's say you need to read more educational or even industry-related books. What do you love to do? Let's say you enjoy a cup of coffee or even a cup of tea in the morning. Here's the temptation bundle. Treat yourself to that favorite beverage, whether it's coffee, tea, doesn't matter what it is, only when you're reading that material. That's going to help create a temptation for you to better yourself. Another example is house chores and audiobooks. What you need to do, clean the house or do the dishes, for example. What you love to do. You love to listen to audiobooks or podcasts. So here's what you do. You listen to that audiobook or podcast only when you're doing house chores. What that's going to do is make you be a little bit more excited for that house chore. It's going to make you look at things in a much more positive light. And you're going to be more excited. It's going to release dopamine when you're doing house chores versus previously you would feel really negative about it. The next law we're going to talk about is the third law, which is make it easy. We as human beings naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. We're always looking for that easy way out, which is why it's so important to make behaviors and behavior changes as easy as possible if you're trying to turn them into habits. You want to focus on reducing friction. So what that means is if you want to do something, then make sure that the supplies are available so that there isn't any issues. The reason why I set my gym clothes out on my chair first thing or at night is that I don't have to go searching for anything. I don't have an excuse to not go work out. I can't be like, oh, well, I couldn't find my gym shorts or couldn't find the right shirt for the gym or don't have any gym socks available. They're all right there. It reduces the friction completely. Now, another way that James Clear says to help make it easy is to use the 2-minute rule, which is when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. It's just another way to make that activity feel a little bit more manageable for you. The rule is recognizing that simply getting started is the first and most important step in doing this. So let's say you want to start running. Just commit to running for 2 minutes. Once you start running, you're naturally going to want to keep going. But the hardest part is the first couple steps, the first 2 minutes. So you want to use that, the 2-minute rule, to essentially make it easier. You're breaking it down in chunks. If you can run 2 minutes, you can keep going. Keep telling yourself, hey, maybe another 2 minutes, maybe another 2 minutes. Doesn't matter. It's just a matter of using that to reframe your thought process. What it does is it reframes it so that it seems more manageable for you. Let's use another example. If you're trying to diet and have a craving for, I don't know, candy, do something you enjoy for 2 minutes before. The chances are your craving is going to be over in that 2 minutes if you don't act on it immediately. So in this case, it's a little different than the running one. What happens is because you're trying to diet, you don't want to put junk food in your body. If you add 2 minutes of something, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's go read a book for 2 minutes, take a 2-minute walk, doesn't make a difference. It's just, it'll keep your mind off of that craving. The fourth law by James Clear is make it satisfying. We are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience itself is satisfying. Clear emphasizes the importance of immediate rewards and habit formation, because this is where we are more influenced by immediate rewards than by delayed rewards. Basically, the more gratifying a habit is immediately, the more likely you are to continue doing it in the future. What happens is that immediate satisfaction, it tends to trump delayed rewards in our minds due to our human tendency to prioritize the present over the future. This is why giving yourself that small little immediate reward after doing a good habit can help solidify it. So what are some ways that you might be able to do that? Let's look at that. Maybe track your progress visually. Use a habit tracker. You can create a visual representation of your workouts, like a calendar where you mark off each day you exercise. I know 75 Hard is a program that uses this. What happens is I believe you take a photo of yourself every day to show progress. You have to read 10 pages a day. You have to do 2 exercises of 45 minutes a day as well. And what happens is once you do all that, you check it off, it'll actually post on the calendar. And you have to do it for 75 days. And I could be off on that. And if I am, I apologize. But I believe it's somewhere along those lines. So what happens is you're basically ticking off a calendar of all the things that you're doing and accomplishing. So it creates a chain of days that you've worked out, that you've read, that you've shown tangible improvements. And you've made it to where you have a clear sense of accomplishment, and eventually that a desire to not break the chain, which will also become a strong motivator. Now, another thing he says to help make it satisfying is to create a reward system. So you want to set up that reward system for milestones. Let's use working out, since I've used that for the most of this podcast anyways, as an example. Every 10th workout or so, treat yourself to something, whether it's a spa day, a movie night, or even one of your favorite meals. For me, I like to treat myself to movies here and there. I'm a big movie guy, so that is one of my motivators. That's how I treat myself for doing well. Alternatively, you can put some amount of money into a jar every time you work out, and then eventually maybe use that money to buy something special once a month. It's really whatever you want to do. These are just simple examples to help you understand the reward system itself. Now, why is that satisfying? It's simple. Associating a pleasurable reward with your workouts creates a positive feedback loop, which makes you more eager to exercise. You know that if you keep doing this, you're going to have the opportunity to treat yourself. So you get more excited for it. Now, another way he says to succeed in making it satisfying is to do group fitness or have accountability partners. In this case, I like to call it have a tribe. You want to engage in group fitness classes, join a sports club, or just find a workout group outside. And this way you can share your progresses, your challenges, and even your successes with one another. So why is it satisfying? Well, simply put, sharing that journey makes the process so much more enjoyable, as you're not only working out for yourself, but you're also part of a tribe who's not going to let you or allow you to let another workout buddy down. That camaraderie and mutual encouragement really can make your workouts way more satisfying. So it's super important to make sure that you have a tribe as well. Now, earlier I had mentioned that you can do an inverse of his 4 laws of habit change. Say you want to break a habit. I'm going to use a quick example for you just so you can understand how to do that. I've been trying to reduce my social media usage at night. And what I want to do, and I'm going to start establishing this habit now because I haven't been successful yet, but I also haven't utilized these inverse laws yet. I'm going to start doing this now. But the first one is make it invisible. It's an inversion of make it obvious. If you want to break the bad habit, in this case for social, it'll be social media as an example, you can remove that phone or your iPad or whatever from your bedroom at night. If that's not feasible, just move social media apps into a folder on the second or third page so it's not right there on your device. So when you open up your phone, it's not going to be sitting right in your face. That, or there's also different apps that will actually put it on lock for time frames. I don't know the apps off the top of my head, but I will actually post something on this here in the very near future so I can better help out. And that's really how you do the first part, make it invisible. The second inverse law is make it unattractive, which is just the inversion of make it attractive. Again, because we're trying to reduce social media usage at night in order to be able to read more, what you want to do in this law is focus on the negative consequences of late night social media browsing. Think about how it disrupts your sleep, how it can create feelings of loneliness or even envy as you're scrolling through social media, or the fact that it's taking up your time. It eats into that time that can be spent on way more productive things. Again, such as the habit of reading and educating yourself at night. The third inverse law is going to be make it difficult. And that's just the inversion of make it easy. In this case, in order to break the bad habits, you want to use things like app blockers to restrict your access to social media apps during certain hours, or simply set a phone usage limit for evenings. If you want to go really extreme, you could just switch your phone to airplane mode an hour before your bed. I personally don't do that because I like to know that my phone is going to be able to ring and everything for me, but it's whatever you think is going to work best for you. The fourth and final inverse law is make it unsatisfying, which is just the inversion of make it satisfying. Again, in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to implement a penalty system for every time that you're on social media at night. For instance, if you find yourself on social media after your cutoff time, whatever that is, you might commit to an extra chore or task the next day, or even deposit a small amount of money into a savings jar for a very specific cause. This way, what you're doing is you're penalizing yourself for every time you make a mistake. And what happens is that creates a negative habit loop, which is going to create a way for you to break that habit. Again, by penalizing yourself, it's going to make you not want to do that anymore. Thank you so much for listening in today. I know there's a lot to take in. Today, we took a deep dive into the world of habits, which is inspired by James Clear's Atomic Habits. And in this, we unraveled the DNA of establishing daily routines. We broke down the 4 stages of habits. We showcased the magic of habit stacking. We highlighted the transformative power of daily 1% improvements and how we can cultivate powerful habits and ditch unhelpful ones. Remember, there's 4 laws of behavior change. And if you're trying to make positive changes, you want to utilize those. If you're trying to break habits, you want to flip them. Remember, every tiny shift we make today shapes our tomorrows. So let's keep growing, evolving, and harnessing the power within our habits. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, leave us a review, and don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes content.